Hi, Sheikh Fatima. Good morning. Pearl David, Rochelle White, Latia Hedrick, Fumi Jaboda, Daniel Atsenga, Mufe Lola, Lola Shironke, Abotu, Ogene, Glory, Atipoy, Bose Fayajola, Niyo Lushola, Folashade. Good morning, everyone. Jem Marie, Miranda, Shigo, Dr. Sufficient, Yetunde, Ajayi, Maiken, Princess Juliet, Deborah Cole, Gift Amos, Joseph Oyewale, Benny Gift, Paul Awodele, Nkem Dike, Victor Gundikwe, Ojo Lakwe, Nkiro Jimadu, Doris Ngere, Yetunde again. Okay, Babatunde. Well, good morning, everyone. I want us to start on time today, so let's go ahead and quickly share the link. Let's share the message. I have a busy day today. A busy, maybe long day. And so let's share the message, the link as fast as possible so that we could start the teaching also quickly. Today's teaching is help to strengthen your family. This help for the wives, for the ladies to strengthen your family. Helps for the ladies to strengthen your family. Thank you so much, all of you that are writing that you are praying for me as I go to the court today. Thank you so very much. I'm on my way, but before I go, I've decided to, you see, I'm not at home. I'm in a restaurant here. I hope the internet here will be strong enough to carry the program, but I just needed to fulfill my obligation to you. We need to do what we must do what we must do. So once I finish with you now, I'm running to the hall, to the courtroom. Okay, now I'm going to be giving you some practical help as ladies, as wives, on how to strengthen your relationship, how to strengthen your family and strengthen your relationship with your husband. Now, of course, this advice and these suggestions are not just for the ladies, they are not just for the wives. They are advice and suggestions that will help both the men and the women. So things we'll be talking about today could be applied both by the men and by the women. But since I'm talking to the ladies this week, these are just my little advice and suggestion for the ladies. What ladies could apply and what ladies could use to strengthen their relationship, their family. Now, number one, like I said yesterday, a marriage is a coming together of two people. So you still remain two individuals. And because you remain two individuals, what you have is a union. So marriage is only a union, And since marriage is a union, and it means it's a team. It's a team of two people. So marriage is a union of two people, or when you have children, you have more than two people. But let's say it's a team. Now, when you think of a team, what like for me, when I think of a team, I'm thinking of football team, basketball team, a sport team. And that's a very good illustration, because when you think of a team, without playing together as a team, without having a kind of unity and unison as a team, things will not work out together. I mean, they will not work out well. And you will never be able to win if you are playing it as one team against each other, or if you are running different directions, being on the same team. So for you to win as a team player, as a team member, you must be a team player as well, a team player. So that's how marriage works. Marriage is the two people who have their interests, who have their ideas, who have their minds and their mindsets and their belief systems and their principles totally different people, but coming together to form one team, one winning team, one dream team, one team of winners and one team of conquerors. So as a lady, you must always bear that in your mind, that we are not playing against each other. We are not opposite teams. We are not opposite opponents of each other. We are not playing, wow, Kavoya Viju, Yulia Ilina, Привет, дорогая. Это что, первый раз заходила ко мне сегодня на передачу? Вау, ты в духе. Слушай, только хочется тебя уже чаще видеть. Надеюсь, что ты по-русски, ты по-английски понимаешь, потому что я тут не по-русски проповедую, я по-английски. Так что будем рады тебя чаще видеть. Хорошо. Sorry, I just saw one of our members that lives somewhere in Cyprus, and I've not seen her for a long time. She's never been on my program. Anyway, so so a family is a team. A family is a team, and being a team, you need to understand that and bear that in mind all the time, that we are a team. And as a team, I don't want to be playing against my team. I don't want to be scoring goal against my own team. I want to play as a team. I want to protect my goalpost. I want to protect my goalkeeper. I want to protect my team, and I want to defend against the team of the enemy, and the opposite team. And I want to advance against the enemy, advance against the opposite team, and I want to make my team victorious. So that's what marriage is all about. But again, like you see in the team, in the football team or soccer team or something like that, you see that people are still individuals running about but having one goal. So the same thing when it comes to family. We are still different individuals. We still have our differences. We still have our preferences. We still have our some of our hobbies might be different, or some of our things that we do might be, decisions might be different, but we just learn to work together as a team. If a team of 12 people or 11 people in a football game could work together, make one team and play for one goal and reach one goal, which is victory, and rejoice together, the same thing if in a home and family relationship. So for a woman to really help build a family, to strengthen a family, you always need to be a team player. You always need to look at yourself as being in a team, as a team member, playing for one goal, to glorify God, to build a sound family, a good family that will be an edification and a blessing to the world. So you are two different people coming together to form one team, to be able to achieve the goal for which God brought you together. That's number one. Number two, Now, in a team, just like in any team, whether it's a sports team or a football team or soccer team, you might have differences sometimes because you are individuals. You are different. You are different people. So, because you are individuals, different individuals, you might have differences. So, how do you deal with that? You just know that that is normal. It is normal to have differences in the family. It is normal for you to find it difficult a little bit to understand your husband in some instances. It is normal for that your husband does not understand you in other instances. But what do you do when there are disagreements? When there are areas where you have disagreements, when you don't understand each other? You just stop and listen to each other. You'll stop and listen to each other. So that's why communication is one of the greatest keys to success in any marriage relationship. Communication. Almost nothing can replace communication, and nothing is as important as communication. So what I normally advise people to do is that you should always, as a family, try to find 1 hour, maybe every day, 1 hour every day, where you are not watching TV, or you are not doing, maybe you're watching TV, but you are not doing anything that distracts you, when you just want to talk. When two of you are sitting down together, of course, preferable not to have TV, telephone, or computer or anything. Just two of you sitting down together and looking each other in the eyes and hearing each other out. How was your day? And what are the things that you want to talk about concerning the family? So that is what a team does. A team sits down together and hear each other out. That is number two. The next thing a team does, the next thing a team will do, or as a team member, the next thing you need to do is to know that everybody, even when you have sat down to talk, everybody will still be coming from their own perspective. So as a lady, don't always expect your husband to have the same understanding as you are going to be having, as you are having. Don't expect him to come up with the same solution or with the same expectation as yours. He might be coming from a totally different angle than you expected him to come. He might be thinking, his thoughts might be absolutely different. They might be absolutely far from from what you are thinking about. So it's normal. It's normal. Just that you are at different places, then you could move together to a place of unity and agreement. So that's the next point. Family is a team where the two have agreed to go together. So even when you have different opinions, you always reach agreement. And what's the best way to reach agreement? The best way to reach an agreement all the time is through compromises. So now that is a very big factor of strengthening your family. Learn the principle and the strength of compromises. So sometimes you need to compromise not because you are weak. And some people think they don't need to compromise, and compromising is bad all the time. No, it's not always bad. Sometimes we need to compromise so that we win something more precious, something more valuable, so that we win tomorrow. Today we compromise, tomorrow we win. Tomorrow another person compromises, and he wins the day after. So the idea and the ability to compromise and to step aside and to step back and to allow your husband or your partner to win sometimes is also wisdom. People who compromise, maybe they go back they go back one step, but they move forward 20 steps or 10 steps forward. So it is, for a woman, it is not always bad when you lose, or when you feel that your opinion is not being considered, or your husband is not doing exactly what you expected or how you want it now. Learn to compromise so that you will also be able to compromise next time. But compromise only works if you express your thinking, your thoughts. You cannot compromise, will not work if you are always keeping quiet all the time. So as a woman, don't just keep quiet and say, okay, my husband has said so, and whatever my husband said, that's the way it should be, and that's the way it will be. I cannot do anything about this. No, if your husband has said it, you also open your mouth and tell your opinion and tell that or him what you think about the situation. Let him know your opinion, because if he doesn't know your opinion, he thinks he's right, and he thinks his suggestion and his idea, you agree with it and you've supported him, and he thinks that there is nothing for him to to change or anything like that. So, but when you let him know what you were thinking, when you know when you let him know where you are coming from, that yes, I'm ready to do what you said. I'm ready to agree with you, but I'm not really in agreement. I don't really feel like doing this because of this, and you give your own argument. But when he knows that you disagree with him and yet you are willing to do what he said, that is when that compromise will be valued. But when you disagree and you don't say it and nobody knows it, then it's not, your compromise is not valued. But when your opinion is expressed and you let your spouse know that you actually agree, I mean you actually disagreed, but you only agree to step down because of tomorrow, then he will also realize that tomorrow or the next day he will need to step down as well. That it's not just you who should be doing compromise, that he too will need to compromise, because he had known that you have compromised in some cases. Another thing, especially for the ladies, ladies always have intuition. Ladies always have concerns and fears and intuition. And most of those intuitions and most of those fears are never expressed. And a lady is waiting and expecting the things to just pass automatically. Sometimes it will pass. Sometimes some of those intuition and fears might not be serious, or they might be unfounded, right? They might not be justified. They might not come to pass. But if it begins to worry you, I don't advise you to begin to tell your husband every concern you have, every doubt you have, or every fear you have. You don't need to just open your mouth and tell him everything. I think when you have fears and concerns and doubts and suspicions, maybe about his friends or about what's going on in the family, and you feel that there might be danger somewhere there, don't rush to tell him everything immediately. Make sure that you first of all pray about these things. Make sure that you first of all take your concerns to God. God is your first line of defense, and it's also your last line of defense. So make sure you first of all go to God and talk to him about the concerns you have. And don't, because man, even though he's your husband, but man or woman might not always understand you the way you expect them to understand you in the first place. The only one who will understand you at any time is God. So the first thing you want to do is to first of all go to God, open your heart desires before him, tell him what your concerns are, and sometimes God will just give you peace, so much that you will not need to talk to your husband about that question anymore anyway. So God will just resolve that question, and because the less you come to your husband with troubles and with your concerns and with your panic, the more easier it is for you to now get his ear when you now want to say something more serious, when it's now time for you to really express your concern to him. But if you are coming to him every single 5 minutes, every minute you are having concerns, and the problem with women is that they have concerns all the time. They have doubts and concerns every time. So you don't want to, go and be bothering him with all the concerns and troubles and challenges that you have every single moment, every single time. So you want to, first of all, deal with those things with God. And only if the thing is not going away, only if the concerns are not going away, and if you keep on being troubled and concerned, and you see that no, this thing is really bothering you. Now, when the matter or the issue begins to bother you, then definitely you want to raise the topic and you want to begin to talk about it to him. You want to begin to talk to him about it. And then it's no more wise to keep it to yourself. It's about time to begin to talk about it and to let him know your concern. Let me see some of the things you are writing here. Omonika said, Pastor Sunday, on a serious note, some men don't want to listen. Even if you want to talk to them, they are never patient. But as you rightly say, a woman should always pray before meeting or talking. Yes, there is a way to deal with that. If your husband doesn't want to talk, if he doesn't want to talk, just write a letter to him. Write a note. Sit down, put the points together, and put the points together and send it to him. He will read them, even though he might pretend that he's not reading it, but he will read it. TY says, correct. First thing is prayer. You are so right. God has a way of reaching the heart of man, especially his son. Prayer cannot be overemphasized when trying to convince someone. Later with bitter silver's tongue. Better than silver tongue, right? That's TY. She also said, Dr. Adelaide, no point not speaking out, but graciously stepping down, not with a sore mood, but graciously knowing to give and take. The relationship is give and take. Davida said, great wisdom tips, Pastor Sunday. The lack of wisdom keeps people stuck in strife. Sometimes you need to lose to win. Yep. Yetunde said, this is great wisdom, Dr. Adelaja. Taking it all to God first in prayers, God will grant you the wisdom to disseminate the information to him. He will listen because then God has his heart. Yep. Okay, now, let me give you some other tips, ladies. Let me give you some other wisdom tips that will help you to build even a stronger family with your husband, or to build a better relationship. Number one tip, I don't know how many numbers, but these are just additional tips. Number one wisdom tip on how to strengthen your relationship with your husband. Which these wisdom tips are very important, and if you want, you might want to write them down. Number one, always men like this. If you really want your relationship with your husband to be strong and to be cordial, and for your husband to respect you, always thank him for basically everything, for everything he's done or he's doing, for every attempt he's making in the family. Let him always know that you appreciate him, that you know what he's doing, and that you just want to thank him. If you are too proud, some women are proud, and you don't feel like telling him, or you think the things he's doing are too small anyway, and they are too little, and they don't deserve to be appreciated. You know what you can do? Just have some cards. Go and buy ready-made cards with thank you cards and sign your name. They have written those cards. They have helped you to write something there now. So you go and give the things to him. Not on bad day. I'm not talking about the bad day time. But I'm talking of any time. Go and give him cards to appreciate him. Whenever you think that he's trying his best and he has done something. So if you feel they are too little, either you buy cards where the things are already written there and just give it to him. He will appreciate. At least he will see your effort. Or you write to him in maybe through his message, SMS, or Skype message or letter. Just write him some little things. So when a man knows that he's been appreciated and his efforts are noted, a man melts, he softens down, he cools down, and he begins to take things much more easier, and he begins to look at you differently and knows that you are not competing with him, and that you are not his opponent, and you are not his competitor, and that you are seeing his efforts, and that you appreciate what he's doing for the family. For the husband, that is very important. Of course, it's also important for the husband to as well appreciate the wife. I know that women also like to be appreciated, but especially for the men, that is, I think men like to be appreciated more than the women, even though they do less, right? But women like to be loved. So that's the way I would say it. I think women prefer to be loved, catered for, and loved, while men prefer to be appreciated or to be respected. So a man wants you to. So as a wise woman, if you will always do that and appreciate him for every little thing he's done for you or he's doing for you, which also, of course, I'm not going to say that will make him also to appreciate you and to be coming to you and say thank you for all your efforts as a wife, and for that he's noticing your efforts as well and he's going to thank you. That is not a thing that the men like to do all the time. So I don't guarantee you that the man will be coming to you to tell you he appreciates your efforts and he thanks you so much. He might appreciate it, but a man finds it much more difficult to talk a lot. So, but if he's not complaining, that means he's appreciating you, really. Although women need to hear those things, and because women fall in love by what they hear, so a woman needs to hear that she's appreciated. So if you're a man there, I want you to also know that your wife too would like to be appreciated, and she will need to hear how much you love her for what she's doing, for the efforts she's putting into the family, and she will also like to know that you are noticing all the efforts with the children, with the family, with the home, with the kitchen, with the food, and she will really want to hear that you are doing she's doing her best, and yeah. So that is one wisdom tip that will be that will help the family to help you as a wife to strengthen your family. Another point that I want to give that will help the woman to strengthen her. How do I say it? Sometimes we take each other for granted. The men take the woman for granted, and the woman sometimes also takes the man for granted. We get used to each other. And we just think that it's my wife and it's my husband. That's just the way it is. God gave him to me, or God gave her to me, and it's like you don't have a way out. Okay. Sorry, guys. Sorry. Oh, I've lost most of you. Okay, you are coming back now. Sorry, we are back. I'm not at home, and the internet we are using here might not be so reliable. We are back on, so I hope you guys will be back as well. Many people have gone, but I hope you will come back. So another wisdom key or another wisdom tip that will be able to help the ladies to strengthen their families and their relationship with their husband is that, sometimes we take each other for granted. And especially when we are Christians, we think, well, we are already husband and wife, and there is nowhere for him to go. There is no escape route. He cannot go anywhere because the Bible has said we are married for life, and the Bible is against divorce. So he cannot go anywhere, and I cannot go anywhere. So we just kind of take each other for granted and assume that we belong to each other. So there is nowhere we could go to. And that we are okay, that's just that there is nothing we can do about each other, that we're already husband and wife. So we stop appreciating each other. But one thing, we just need to, sometimes we need to appreciate each other, not for what we have done. Sometimes we need to, as husband and wife, we need to begin to appreciate each other, not that the man has done something good, or you have done something good, not for actions. Not just like with God, we should love God not just when He's blessing us or He's giving us things that we need, but we should love God at all times, just that we have Him, just that He's there for us. Oh, I lost. Hello, guys. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. It's such a day today. Such a painful day. So sorry. Well, let me try and finish my message. So what I'm trying to say is that sometimes we are waiting for our spouses or for our spouse, especially as wife, to do something good. We are waiting for our husband to do something good so that we could acknowledge him. Or we are waiting for him to behave the way we want, or to behave in the right orders for us to appreciate him. But at the end of the day, what we have to understand is that nobody nobody owns anybody anything. What I'm saying is that that person that married you, he married you out of his own accord. That person chose to marry you. That person decided to live with you. So sometimes that is already enough a reason to be grateful to each other. That this person is your husband. That this person chose you to be the wife. That out of all the women out there, that you are the one he chose. That is already sometimes enough to be grateful. And the fact that you agreed to marry him as well, that is already enough a reason for him to be grateful to you that you agreed to marry him. So that kind of attitude, that kind of attitude of gratitude and just appreciating each other automatically, not for anything good, not for any good behavior or any fulfillment of obligation or of expectation. Sometimes it could strengthen your family. That itself could strengthen your family. The fact that you are seeing and you are acknowledging him for just being your husband. The fact that you are acknowledging the fact that you are his wife. The fact that you are grateful to him that you have this family, that you are building this family together. Just for nothing. Just that fact. Because we take each other for granted so often, and that is why family relationships sometimes go sour. Family relationships go bitter and boredom comes into the relationship. We become bored of each other. We lose interest in each other because we take each other for granted. We think that, oh, well, he's just John, or he's just Joshua, or he's just my husband, that's all. Or she's just Elizabeth, or she's just Esther, or she's just this, she's just my wife. I think it's better to keep ourselves fresh, to keep our memories fresh, to keep remembering how we met and the first meetings we had, how we fell in love with each other, and the first feelings that you had concerning that person. So that will keep your relationship fresh, and that will strengthen that relationship as well. The next thing a woman could do to strengthen her family, to strengthen her relationship and her family, is don't have too high expectations. I'm sorry, of course, the reason why we marry is because we have expectations, right? But once you are married, you will discover that too much expectations could kill your home. Too much expectations or too high expectations could destroy your family. So because sometimes we think that a man is supposed to keep on wooing you and behaving to you and loving on you and appreciating you the way he did before you married. And that's the way it's supposed to be. He's supposed to keep on being tender to you. He's supposed to keep on being loving and tender and caring. That's exactly the way it's supposed to be every day. But life has taught us that men change, and men just do the minimum they can do while they are in their marriage, which is not right. But the way to help yourself as a woman is to just lessen the expectations, because you get more disappointed when you have high expectations. But when you have reduced the expectations, or when the expectations are not there, you are not so disillusioned, and you are not so ashamed or embarrassed or disappointed when those things are not being done, or you are not so disappointed at the things that he has not done. But when you are having a high expectation, and when you are expecting him to go and do this and that, and to go beyond himself and to do what he's supposed to do, sometimes it only leads to sorrow. It will only lead you to sorrow, disappointment, pain, because you might not see those things come to pass, or you might not do those things exactly the way you want them to, or do you want him to do them, or you might not even be doing the same thing that you expect him to do. So to lessen your pain and to lessen your disappointment in marriage, lessen your expectations as well. Lessen your expectations. And it's because that will just be bringing hatred, anger, disappointment. Now, next point that I would like to give you to strengthen that, the one next wisdom tip that will help you to strengthen your relationship is change the way you speak to your husband. Change the way you speak to your husband. Instead of you to tell him that things like, oh, you don't love me, or you've forgotten about me, or you don't talk about me, or you don't remember me, or you don't call. Instead of whining and complaining, it's better to just say, oh, how I miss you. So instead of you saying, oh, you don't call me, you don't love me again, you are not calling, why don't you just say, oh, how I miss your calls, oh, how I miss you, or, why don't you, instead of, change the way you talk, change your tone. Some of the things that really brings quarrels in families and disagreements and conflicts, especially from the side of the man, is the tone of the woman. Is sometimes the way the woman is talking and the tone of her talk. Some men are so pissed off and they are angry and they get agitated or irritated just by the tone of the voice of the woman and because of the way she talks. And that's what I'm talking about. Be more tactful in your talking to your husband, in your talk to your husband. So instead of you to be accusing, and that is, women are more, they are more prone to that, to accusing than to commending. So instead of you to be accusing him and to start, your language with accusive language, or to start your comments or your your complaints by in an accusing form, why don't you start it and rephrase it to be in a kind of romantic form, or in a way as if you are missing him. And for example, if you need some flowers, why don't you tell him, oh, how I wish to have some flowers, how I wish you could give me some flowers, I always like it each time you give me flowers. Instead of saying that, oh, you don't even love me again, you never give me, instead of accusing, come from the side of desire, what you want, express your desire rather than express your frustration. And when it comes to the ladies, let's face it, ladies like to express their frustrations more than their desires. So it's better to change that order. Begin to express your desire rather than your frustration. Begin to express your desire rather than your frustration. For example, instead of saying, "Oh, it's long. You don't even take me out. You don't even you've not taken me to the restaurant for some time now, or you've never bought anything for me, or you didn't buy anything for me. When was the last time?" Instead of expressing frustration like that, why don't you just say, "Oh, my husband, or whatever you call him, my king or my hero, my champion, how I wish we could go to the restaurant. I just miss being alone with you in the restaurant. I just miss going out with you. I wish you could go. Wish you could take me out. How you could take me out. How I enjoy going out with you. Please, I would really appreciate it if you can. I feel like going out with you." Something like that. So yeah, it's more like expressing your desires than expressing your frustrations. That is another wisdom that will help you to really strengthen your family or your relationship with your husband. Another point that might help you as a lady to strengthen your family relationship with your husband is your responses. Responses are very important in family relationship, and responses affect the man. And this is another area where the ladies really have to watch out. In a lot of instances, so many ladies, when they don't hear what they want to hear, or when when things that they are expecting to happen did not happen, some women find it difficult to respond, to hold back their emotions, and they respond by crying or screaming or shouting or they respond by, expressing their disagreement, or respond by expressing their frustration at the man. And men don't like that. Men don't like when women express their negative expressions. Their negative emotions. Men don't like to see women's negative emotions. They don't like it. They call it hysterical. They say, it's a hysteria, and they don't want women to be hysterical in the family, in relationship. So that's one thing that you want to be careful about. Whenever you are frustrated, whenever you are angry, or you are not happy with something, that is not the best time to respond. Just keep quiet. Try to hold it. Try to hold it. Try to hold back your expressions and your emotions. Men don't like the negative emotions that are coming from their wives, or from women in general. Men will run away from the home just not to see those negative expressions and frustrations. So when there are some things that you don't like, when there are some things that he has done that you would have liked him to do better, hold your peace and talk only when you have cooled down, or express your dissatisfaction only when there are no more emotion, or not so hot an emotion, when the emotion has cooled down a little bit. So don't express your frustration at the time of your pain. Always hold back your expression or your attitude or your reaction at the point of your pain. Let the pain go first. Let the pain leave first before you express yourself, before you begin to talk. Don't always hide, or try as much as possible to hide and hold back your negative reactions and negative emotions from your husband. Maybe sometimes you cannot help it. Maybe sometimes it's inevitable and you might not be able to help it. That is okay. But try your best to always hold it back. To always hold it back. And even if you want to express something negative, you could cry. Crying might be much better than talking. Because when you talk, most of the time, what you might talk might not be the most positive things. So if you want to cry, you can cry, but not to begin to talk some negative things to your husband that will even make him mad. You don't overcome evil by evil. You only overcome evil by good. So the only thing you can use to overcome any negative thing that comes to you from your husband is to respond positively and to try to overcome that evil by good. Next point that will really help you in your, I don't know why I'm not seeing the comments. Yeah, another wisdom tip that might help you to really maintain a good family and a good relationship with your husband is be determined never to go to bed without making peace with your husband. Be determined, whatever it will cost you, never to go to bed without making peace. The Bible says that, never let sun come down on your anger. Never let sun come down on your anger. So that is a great wisdom there. God wants you to make peace with your husband or with anybody. Never let sun descend on your anger. Whatever frustration you have, try to overcome it. Try to get rid of it before the evening, before you go to sleep. Even when the thing happens at night or in the evening, don't go to sleep and just say, okay, let him come to me first, or rather go to him first and ask for forgiveness, or or write him a letter, or do something to make sure that before you go to sleep that you have actually resolved the issue and resolved the problem. I think in a family it's better for both the husband and the wife to try to be the first to reconcile. Try to be the first to reconcile. Try to run to reconcile. Actually compete to be the first to reconcile. That would be a healthy kind of competition, a healthy kind of habit in the family. Be the first one to ask for forgiveness. I personally believe that the man should be the first one to ask for forgiveness, even if it's right, even if it's not at fault. But for the sake of peace, I think it's wise for the woman also to initiate forgiveness and to initiate reconciliation. So as a lady, swallow your anger and swallow that pride, and be determined to be the first one to ask for forgiveness. It will only work better for your family. It will only be good for the two of you. It's only for the good of your home, for the good of your family. And when you want to make peace, I don't think you necessarily need to talk it over. Sometimes we are waiting for, we don't have time to talk now, but make peace first, then later talk it over when you have time. So because if you are waiting to talk it over first, that we have to talk, and you need 1 hour or 30 minutes or 2 hours to talk, and then you are waiting until you are able to talk the whole thing over before you make that peace, it might never happen, or it might take a long time. And like I said, that don't let the sun come down on your anger. You want to first of all go ahead and make the peace. Go ahead and just forgive each other, and then later on you meet and say, okay, but I would like us to talk it over when you have the time. Good. So book an appointment, agree with each other that, okay, when can we meet to talk about that thing? But if you think that, you still have some anger or some pain in you, or you are still feeling frustrated, then tell him that, no, I'm not ready to talk now. But you have made peace, you have reconciled, but you can tell him, I'm not ready to talk now, maybe tomorrow or maybe day after tomorrow. Make sure that you sit down to talk about any differences only after the pain has gone, only after the pain has gone, only after the frustration has gone. Don't sit down to talk about the quarrel or disagreement you might have had when you are still having the pain out of that disagreement or out of that particular situation. Make sure that the pain is gone before you raise the topic, or before you sit down to really talk about it. Okay, next thing that will really help strengthen your relationship, another wisdom tip that will help you strengthen your relationship as a woman, is always make sure that you organize surprises. As a woman like surprises, and you could be the one to initiate surprises. Men don't know what is surprises, and they don't know how romantic surprises are. And men they are not too romantic. So, but you could be the one to initiate it. Why don't you organize some surprises for your husband? Why don't you come up and say, I've organized a romantic lunch today, or a romantic evening today, or put something somewhere for him to surprise him, or invite him somewhere, or bring something home different, or I think you don't let your marriage life become a routine. That's what I'm trying to say. Don't let your marriage life become a routine.